43rd review request this cycle, and it was already past the second rest period when I opened the Verath corridor file. A routing audit. Standard procedure before permanent excision. The authority requires a formal notation, a living cartographer's attestation that the corridor is not merely inactive but closed. And why? My senior designation meant the task fell to me. I accepted it the way I accept all such tasks. Without ceremony, without expectation of difficulty. I was wrong about the difficulty. Verath corridor was a 17-light passage lane through a quiet arm of the outer territories. It connected the Solvath resupply depots to the Meridian Authority's frontier stations. A routing convenience. Not strategic, not contested. The kind of lane that appears in the charts as a thin line with a transit time annotation and nothing else. I have drawn thousands like it. First assignment entered the corridor 41 years ago. The registry shows the vessel's designation, its tonnage class, its cargo manifest, assigned crew complement, and its estimated transit duration, 9 days. I can see the entry confirmation, the automated signal the ship broadcast when it crossed the corridor's opening waypoint. Clean, routine, the kind of ping the authority receives 10,000 times a day across its jurisdiction. There is no exit ping. Noted this, and moved to the second assignment, another vessel, another entry ping, another manifest, another silence where the exit confirmation should be. I assumed at this point a relay fault. Relays fail, records fragment. The outer territories are not well maintained. By the fifth vessel, I stopped assuming relay faults. Each entry was the same. The ship announced itself at the waypoint, filed its standard passage declaration, and then the record simply stopped. Not corrupted, not flagged, not marked with a distress notation, or an engagement alert, or even an administrative hold. The record ended the way a sentence ends, when the writer puts down the pen and walks away. Clean margin, nothing after. Cross-referenced against the authority's incident registry. I searched for any engagement report, any debris field notification, any salvage claim filed against the corridor's coordinates. The incident registry returned nothing. No battle, no collision, no navigational anomaly on record. 41 years of assignments, and the incident registry for Verath corridor contains a single entry, a weather observation note filed by a survey drone in the corridor's second year, reporting nominal stellar conditions. Nominal. Sat with that word for a long moment. The assignments continued after the losses began. I found this more troubling than the losses themselves. The authority knew, or should have known. The missing exit pings accumulate in the routing database like stones dropped into still water, and any competent administrator reviewing the transit ledger would have seen the pattern by the third or fourth vessel. Yet the assignments continued. 12 ships in the first decade, 7 in the second, 4 in the third, when I can only imagine someone finally began to count. 2 in the fourth decade, the last 2, filed by a routing clerk whose notation on the second assignment reads, in the standard administrative shorthand, expedited review recommended. That was the last entry before my review request arrived. I pulled the expedition logs of the final 2 ships. The authority does not require full expedition logs for standard corridor transits, but both vessels were research class, and research class ships filed detailed passage records as a matter of protocol. I wanted to see if either crew had noted anything, a sensor anomaly, a communications irregularity, a change in the stellar environment that might explain what the corridor had become. First research vessel's log ends at day 4 of 9, mid-passage. The final entry is a routine instrument calibration note, humidity in the secondary lab at acceptable levels. Sample storage temperature nominal. Nothing in the entry suggests the crew believed anything was wrong. The next scheduled log entry, the day 5 check, was never filed. The second research vessel's log ends earlier. Day 2. The crew had barely entered the corridor when the record closes. The final notation is a course confirmation. The navigator verifying they were holding the assigned lane. 3 decimal places of precision, a model of professional care, then nothing. I have drawn the line between human space and the rest of the known territories many times in my career. It is one of the most commonly reproduced features in the authorities' charts. That clean border where the routing lanes end, and the annotation begins. I have always understood it as a political designation, A boundary of jurisdiction. An agreement, perhaps an uneasy one, about where the authorities' writ ran and where it did not. I understand it differently now. Verath corridor does not pass through human space. That is what I want to make clear. It passes near it. Within 7 light passages at its closest approach, in stellar terms, is a considerable distance. The corridor was never a human route. It was not designed to intersect with human traffic. It was drawn to avoid human space, as all our routes are drawn to avoid human space, because that is simply how routes are drawn. No cartographer in the authorities' history has voluntarily routed a transit lane into human territory. We do not need to be told, we know. 7 light passages is apparently not distance enough. I do not know what happened to the ships assigned to Verath corridor. I want to record that plainly. There is no engagement log. There is no debris field on record. There is no signal, no wreckage, no survivor, no warning transmitted back. 26 vessels entered the corridor over 41 years, and none of them sent a final message. None of them declared an emergency. None of them, as far as the authorities' records can determine, encountered anything at all. They simply stopped being in the record. A junior archivist I once trained told me, years ago, that the absence of a record is not the same as evidence of nothing. She meant it as a caution against sloppy cataloging. I've thought about her words often in the past several hours. The absence of a record, in the case of Verath corridor, is the most complete record I have ever reviewed. 26 ships, 26 entry pings, 26 clean final log entries, calibrations, confirmations, inventory checks, the ordinary work of crews who believed they were simply passing through, and then 26 silences, each one as total and as final as the last. I have completed my formal notation. The corridor is excised from the routing atlas. In its place, in the surveyor's script we reserve for permanent exclusion zones, I have written the standard marginal annotation. Passage suspended. Administrative review closed. No further routing recommended. It is, I am aware, a considerable understatement. The authorities' style guide does not provide language for what I found in those logs. It does not anticipate a cartographer needing to annotate a lane where 24 ships entered in good order, and professional confidence and simply ceased to exist without the courtesy of an explanation. I used the language available to me. I drew the new boundary line, 3 light passages further from human space than the old corridor ran, added the standard exclusion notation, sealed the file. I will not be opening it again. If another reviewer requires attestation, they will need to find a different cartographer. I have redrawn the map. The corridor is gone. What replaced it on the chart is a margin, a clean, quiet white margin, and in that margin, in the smallest script, the stylus permits the annotation that closes the record. The map does not explain the margin. It does not need to. Neither do I.